there's a couple of them that they don't
Yeah.
have information on.
Yeah, let me see. I've got, see, I can go to the first.
I know when they're gonna be on our.
Then I've got one here, and I've got one, so I've got from 30 to the second. I've got something then for the,
They have a son.
I got.
Call meeting to order, please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call, Rachel.
Here.
Clark. Here. Lopez.
Here.
Patton.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
Tyler.
Yep. Agenda cross off item B on under action items, so we dealt with at a later meeting.
Do what?
Yes, and what?
D. Need a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Approval of the July 10th, 2019 regular board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Support.
Been moved and supported to accept the minutes from the July 10th meeting. All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Approval of the minutes of our August 7th special board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Public comment. Betty, it's your floor.
That's me? Okay. Hi, thank you for, I only get 2 minutes, right?
Maybe three.
3, I don't need 3. Okay. I'm representing the Central Lake Masonic Lodge. They are all in a meeting tonight and could not be here. A month ago, two or 3 weeks ago, they had an awards night where they presented their open house and awards night. They awarded their college scholarship to Central Lake graduate Brett Dewey, which I'm sure most of you know, and he's planning to attend Grand Valley State. They awarded their Mason of the Year to Dave Wright, and I have one other award that was not presented that night. This is the Community Service Award for 2019 for dedication to the village and the people of Central Lake. With our thanks, the brothers and sisters of the Central Lake Masonic Lodge 426, presented to Mr. Sam Mullins. Good job. Oh,
You gotta get a picture.
picture, okay.
No.
Oh, yeah, gotta have
You're not getting a picture with, no. You're not getting a picture with me.
Just in front of your face.
No, she's not getting a picture with me. I've worked 29 years for the village and I've never been in the paper once, so. That's the end of it. I'm sorry.
It's the first time for everyone.
Well, let me at least take a picture of her holding it.
Oh, okay, down here.
Nice try.
Put your wide angle on.
All right, we're good.
I'm speechless.
You're speechless.
Congratulations, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betty.
Thanks, Betty.
Thank you. Oh, my newspaper.
Any other public comment? Reports? Scott, please report.
Thank you. Everybody can hear or see me back here. Hopefully you got a chance to read the overview of the month of July. Extremely busy. It's been busy the last couple of months. July was I can't even start to explain how busy July was. During a 10-day period right around 4th of July, if you add up all the assaults not in progress, and the domestic violences in a 10-day period, we handled more in a 10-day period than we did the 4 previous years combined. It's going nuts. And I don't know why. I did give you another sheet of piece of paper. Everybody should have it, has highlights on it, or everybody's yellow. So it got me to thinking about why things are so busy. You know, from month to month, they either go up a little bit or a lot. I threw some statistics at you for the last 10 years. And it will kind of show on this piece of paper what we've done as far as increasing complaints and incidents from year to year. And in a nutshell, if you read just basically the last paragraph there, in the last 10 years, from a time period from 2008 to 2018, our total complaints and incidents were up 41%, even though our hours worked each week has decreased by 43%. Before I started here, we had a full-time chief and we had 2 part-time officers at 20 hours each, so we had 80 hours a week of work, hours patrolled or working. We are currently at 56 hours. I work 40 hours, part-time officer only works 16 hours. So our time in the last 10 years has decreased by 43%, but yet now we're handling 40-some more complaints. So we are just, lately, just trying to keep our head above water. At some point, I would, appreciate, or at least have a conversation. At some point, we need to, increase some hours or get some help, because there's a lot of things. I get people, asking me, hey, what are you gonna do about so-and-so's grass, and what are you gonna do about junk cart? Unfortunately, those things have to be set on the back burner while other things become priorities. And we're missing out on some things that we should or could be doing. So, obviously, I'm not asking you for anything now, but at some point, we probably need to have a discussion. Maybe the law enforcement committee can get together and come up with some ideas. I know it's kind of a hard time to throw these stats at you or ask for things mid-budget and stuff like that, but at some point, especially in the summertime, we are, just busy. Everything that we do, even in the last 10 years, I could kind of tell you that, we've got computers in the cars, we've got computers in the office, and you think that those would make things a lot easier and streamline things. It doesn't. It just takes more work. When I first started law enforcement back in '89, you could write a drunk driving report, 1 page. Now it's 8, 10 pages. Just everything creates more and more paperwork. Everything we do, anything from chasing cows down the middle of the road to assist, just something as simple as getting help in the fire department and the ambulance, like we love to do, but that generates paperwork and complaints, and it's always a paper. I spend, if I go out and have a day just have nothing to do, it creates me 2 more days back in the office just catching up on paperwork and stuff like that. So at some point, if you guys keep this idea, I'll give you some copies later on, but we kind of seriously probably need to have a discussion somewhere down the road about getting some help and increasing some hours. So, like I said, our part-time officer only works 2 days a week, and I understand there's things in the budget. It'd be nice if we could hire another full-time officer or a couple of full-time officers, but I understand there's, the money doesn't grow on trees and it doesn't come out of nowhere. So, but I would appreciate some input or insight or even some one-on-one discussions and stuff like that. I'd be more than glad to sit down with any of you to talk about that. Back to my other list. Everything else on this list is pretty much self-explanatory, so it's kind of the typical stuff that we've done. So, and it's not only us. If you talk to the sheriff department during that 10-day period I was talking about, they're swamped too. They're running ragged. They're running complaint to complaint. Unfortunately, they're down 3 officers, which doesn't sound like much, but it's, when you have an office, I think they have 18, 20 officers or something like that, so 3 makes a huge impact on their staff too. One other thing I didn't explain, if you look on this sheet where it says decreases, and I was looking back at that and trying to explain why we actually had some years that we had decreasing complaints, but those were probably times when we were missing people. Like a part-time officer would leave or quit and we'd be without an officer for 1 or 2 months while we're trying to hire another person. So by not having that body, and I didn't even do it based on, I could go back and actually throw you those stats based on hours worked too, which would show some relevance too, but this is just kind of an overview. Excuse my statistics on here, but it's just very, very rough statistics. So, any questions? Great, thanks guys.
Thank you. Sam?
Everybody should have a copy of my report. Just been very busy the month of July. And any questions about the report? I want to talk about the water system real quick.
Thank you for doing number 13. That was getting pretty bad down there. The brush around the bridge.
Oh, yep. And then the biggest thing on there was we had to replace the steel door going into the women's camping park. That door, actually, the latch mechanism broke inside the door, where there's 2 screws that hold them in, snapped them right off. So we just replaced the steel door that we had.
So we really had to go to the bathroom, yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't know if you guys on the board are aware of it or not. About 10 days ago, there was, I don't normally say anything about anything that's put on a public website, social media. There were some pretty bad things put on the social media website about the village of Central Lake and their water. Somebody out there said we don't test our water. Well, Larry and me got caught up that Sunday. Larry has responded to it in a very polite way. But just to give you some numbers, we did 74 water tests the year of 2018. Bacteriological, partial chemistry, water quality, and I supplied everybody with a 2018 schedule because somebody said to DEQ, since we're under 1,000 people, we don't have to test our water. Well, I hate to tell you this, but you're wrong. So that's why I give everybody the 2018 schedule so you can kind of see how we go about our testing of the water system. Somebody said we're sitting on a PFA plume. We have no PFAs anywhere, any of our well fields. They've already been tested 2018. We've never had a lead and copper sample come back bad. Just so everybody's aware of that. I just wanted to put that out there because of that camera over there.
It's on the internet, it must be true.
You got that. Any questions?
Facebook, it must be true.
Experts.
Any questions for Sam?
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Thanks for meeting me on Sunday, Sam.
Yes, sir.
Just on the very last one, that whole brouhaha on Facebook, very last test, they do test for radium, 226, 228. So, there you go.
Any questions for Sam? Well done. Kathy, campground?
We had a great month at the campground. We were full, probably 99% of the time. Occasionally we had one spot open, and oftentimes we'd get a call late in the night or early morning to say, do you have a spot? And we would try to put someone on that spot. One of our activities we had this week, we had a kindness rock painting activity. Approximately 25-30 adults and children showed up. They painted their rocks and they hid them around the community for others to find. It was just some positive sayings and that type of thing. So it's a fun activity. Thanks to Shirley B. and my husband, kind of had asked about a book exchange because he's him in Bel Air and Book Swap. So I contacted Joe Bellinger, and he made the most beautiful little house. That we now have a book swap at the middle, where the bathhouses are. There's a little area, and we put we have one of the campers that fixed it. One of the tables, have a table there with book swaps, so that has already been utilized there. So that's been really nice. And again, Rachel has been working extremely hard with getting us a new brochure, which is fabulous. I handed out to all the campers, as well as rewording our rules, because there were some things that were a little bit unclear with, there's electric at sites, but not, and water is available. Some people would come in and assume that there was water and electric available on site. So she just did a great job rewarding some things, and also posting things on social media. We've had campers that are putting a drone up and taking pictures of the campground, and just some neat publicity for our campground, and it's bringing in a lot of people. Finally, we're working on the items that you're gonna vote on tonight with regards to three new sites, one of which I've already rented out this past week, that's really not completed yet, but in a pinch, we got a fire pit and a table and had some electric access there, so we were able to go and rent that out. And we also have one of the sites rented out for half the season next year. So hopefully that gets approved, or else we're gonna have a really sad camper. We're replacing the manager site up top and having a plan for renumbering our sites. We're working really hard on getting some things as soon as possible into the reservation system, so that also the sites are going to be identified with regards to what rigs best fit on certain sites. We've had some people come in with a rig that's huge and we're trying to put them on a smaller site. So we're gonna work real hard, and Rachel's, again, kudos to her for really, taking that information and being able to input that into the reservation system so that we can be up and running, and hopefully take reservations as of January for the 2021 season. We have to have a few more activities before we close for the season, and again, we've got some project site work to be done with those sites to get it prepared for the following season. So, if there's any questions?
Do we have to apply for a different permit because?
No.
No, because
We
we're
don't
not
have
putting
any more than 40 sites available for that.
And we also picked up a site because we combined 22 and 20,
And there's no 13.
and there was no
There
13.
was no 13.
The
Okay.
primitive sites stay the same number as what the permit is, even adding the new ones.
That was my question. Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Okay. We'll move on. I do not have any correspondence to share that the council doesn't already know about. So, committee reports, Lyle, streets,
I don't have anything, Sam's doing a great job.
Leela, sewer and water.
Nothing new, what Sam says.
Okay. Law enforcement, Bill?
Chief Scott covered everything pretty well.
Matt, communications?
I don't have anything, but thanks to Rachel for getting the pictures posted on the Facebook page.
Brian, finance personnel?
If you noticed, coming into town, there's new flags and flag poles. We replaced the old flags and the old wooden poles. The village purchased the flag poles, and the local AMVETS post bought the new flags. So there's 12 of them. We're too short, so we'll be getting them in soon. And they look a lot nicer. We had some complaints. I had some complaints about how bad our flags look.
This is an index.
Yeah, the new flags coming into town on the light poles.
Oh,
There's new flags.
The American flag.
The American flags.
Okay.
The American flags. The campground is finally out of the red. We're in the black finally, and we're up, so we're finally out of deficit after all the work we've done down there. So that's all I have, thank you.
Tyler, Parks?
Comparing July 2018 to 2019, we're 15% higher revenue generated for the month of July this year, so that translates into a $6,233 increase over last year. We have a pavilion meeting with the contractor Tuesday at 3 p.m. And then I am also on Action Item C, so I will save anything else for Action Item C.
Okay, the report's fairly brief. I was hoping to have an example of one of the new banners that will be put on the light poles downtown for tonight, but I don't think I can get one any earlier than tomorrow, and I'm not sure about that yet. So certainly by the next meeting, I'll have examples for that. The DDA is spearheading that project. Hopefully we will spend DDA money to replace the banners that are out there that are now 15 years old, and they're starting to look 15 years old plus. So, we have a pre-construction meeting for our Pavilion project next Tuesday at 3 o'clock right here. And beyond that, I don't think I have anything else unless somebody has something for me. I'll move on, thank you. Approval of the bills, we have prepaids of $15,989.42. Payroll of $6,923.57. Payables of $15,703.48 for a total of $38,616.47. Need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Been moved, supported. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Chapman?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Wallace?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
Becker?
No new business. We'll move to action items. Sam's got a project from the softball field down Maple Street to replace, or to install, not replace, but install culvert to get water flowing underground instead of above ground down that strip. So it's not a big enough project for these types of operators. And so to put it out for bids, the Elmers and Reith Riley and those guys, they won't mess with it. So, plus we get to spend a little money locally, and I think that's a good thing, and we all think that's a good thing. So he received one bid from Buffman's and Sons for $14,800. Sam, if you'd like to explain what you're actually doing.
What it is if you guys remember back in the spring of the year at the softball field, we used to have water right across the back, and we always put that wooden bridge across there. We went ahead and put the creek underground. It's not a creek, it's actually spring water from the hills is all it is. We put it underground roughly 10 years ago. Well, now it's creating a problem because it's running more and more. And what we want to do is pick it up at the softball field, bring it to the culvert on Howard Street, underground, from Howard to Chestnut. I gotta make sure I say these streets right. Right now, what happened in the winter, the last 3 winters, the culvert at one resident and the culvert at the church on Maple Street has froze up in the middle of the winter. Cost me about $2,000 to get somebody in just to unthaw the culvert. This year what happened is when we got the culvert unthawed at the church, it was a 40-degree day, we unthawed it 2 days later, it was 20 below zero. Well, it froze right back up and froze into the church parking lot on a Sunday morning. What church would it be? Congregational? So I spent 4 hours up there just sanding it before church started to get the ice off it. So, and the ultimate way to do it is I got 9 foot of fall from point A to point B to get into the culvert. I got 450 feet, 460 feet of culvert that's got to be put in. So 9 foot of fall is more than enough. To put it underground, pull the 2 culverts out. They're going across the driveway because they're only 8-inch culverts to start with. So what we're going to install is an 18-inch outside diameter, 12-inch inside diameter culvert. Smooth finish, no longer corrugated, so nothing sets in it. So it just flows restriction-free all the way through it. Anything else? And of course, when you install the culvert, you got to put black dirt, seed, mulch, gravel back into the driveways. That bid that Buffman's give you specifies what's it for. What their bid is for, that's not the
That
material.
doesn't include materials.
There's
Materials are about
$3,500 worth of materials
five.
in the culverts, and then I gotta pave the church parking lot back in where we cut to go through it. So there's probably roughly another $1,000 there. So all total it'll be pretty close to $20,000.
It's been really bad up through there this year because the water tables have been so high. There's some people that haven't been able to cut the grass along the street. It just needs to be done. We get it done now, it's done forever.
We had that problem years ago, with that water,
Oh, yeah.
it was a mess.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
We need a motion.
I'll support it.
Chapman made a motion to approve the project. Patton supported. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Chapman?
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Lovett,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yep.
Yes. I'm gonna skip to D and come back to C. Mammoth has a distillery downtown, would like to be able to serve alcohol on the street. They've got 4 chairs set up. Currently, their license doesn't allow for that. And they've called, they talked to Lacey, they talked to me, I said I'd investigate. I found out that Lacey told them what they needed to know, and so I didn't get back with them, so I got another call from them. And they said, well, we'd like to do that, we'd like to apply to the state to get that outside license, but they're asking for a letter from the community that it's okay. So I said I would bring it to council meeting tonight, and see what council thought about it. And if we approved it, I'd get them a letter. If we don't approve it, then we'll have to figure something else out, I guess. But,
I have to say I'm against it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's behooving of our community to advertise adults getting drunk on the sidewalk. And I don't know how you can keep control of whether minors are partaking of this alcohol outside on the sidewalk. There's nobody out there watching them, I don't think.
well, I'm sure they'd have to purchase it inside, so I don't think
Well,
that's
yeah,
an issue.
but they bring it out and,
Yeah, but they
How you
take-
gonna keep drinks it
I don't
outside?
know, I don't think it's right.
Larry, can I?
Yep.
The reason why they're asking you guys is because they don't own the property, so LCC will request that they get your guys' approval to put it outside. So if it was 100% on their property, and I'll just use Pelican as an example, if they have an outside sales, which is their deck or whatever, it's their property, they can kind of do that, with LCC's permission. But that's kind of why they're coming to you, they ask for that. If you guys approve it or don't approve it, whatever, it goes back to LCC, and then they kind of give them the blessing. It comes back to me, I have to sign off on the permit. And I think because they're close enough to the churches, they've got to get kind of approval there. So there's a couple other steps they have to go through to do that. So that's kind of, I think, why they're asking you first, to save themselves some hassle or whatever. But yeah, basically what happened is their license doesn't allow them for outside sales. So if you think back this summer during 4th of July, the tavern cage, you guys asked for a special use permit for a one-day thing. They can do that through LCC, it's not a problem. VFW Hall used to do it all the time too. Mammoth could do the same thing on a day-by-day basis or an event-by-event basis, but I'm thinking they're looking for something more long-term. So to answer Bill's question, if they do outside sales, they're required to make sure that somebody monitors that, watches that, regulates that, or whatever. So if they're selling to consumers or patrons inside the building, it's the same as if they're selling to people outside. So they have to be, it's gotta be sectioned off, they have to be, somebody's monitoring it. So, you know, it happens other places, so it's not something that's unusual, but they do have to have people to be able to watch that. So yeah, it'd be no different than if a minor walked to the bar and was handed a beer or stuff like that. Outside, it probably does make it a little bit more troublesome because the amount of traffic going by and stuff like that too. So, in a nutshell, that's kind of basically why I think they're asking what they're asking for you guys, so.
Anybody else have anything?
Have we ever had any problems at Mammoth?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I mean, one of the things, I mean, when I first started here, actually before I started here, LCC used to actually have agents that would run around and check all the establishments and stuff like that. That's kind of a thing of the past. They got away from that, they kind of expect or at least appreciate local law enforcement doing that. So when I first got here, we get a check every year from LCC to do that kind of business. And then we started to do just monthly inspections. So I just did a couple today. So every month we go to all 6 establishments, the check off list, and we show that we've been there. From time to time, if like the tavern or the DFW or something like that pulls a special permit, you know, I have to sign up on those. So we get money from the LCC to kind of do that. So we check on all 6 of them on a regular basis, not only for those specific reasons, but for other reasons. So we have to report them. Overall, all 6 of them, we don't have any problems whatsoever for the most part. So, I mean, I can't, if you asked me to tell you a time that I couldn't think of time offhand recently, so. Yeah, so nothing specifically for Mammoth, but nothing specifically for the other ones either, so.
If you turn it down, they can go ahead and give them permission to do that?
I don't think they can because
They can't.
it's not their property. So I think they have to have the village's permission because they're out on your guys' or ours, I should say your guys', but
I just
public
wanna be
sidewalk,
sure of
so. And they're doing the right thing, they're asking for permission to do it versus just,
Because they've already seated people out there, so.
well, that's kind of part of the conversation we had with them,
Didn't,
so.
yeah.
And it was kind of just a gentle reminder, hey guys, you can't do it because your license doesn't allow you to. So, and I think there was a little miscommunication or at least a misunderstanding. Larry and I had a conversation, Lacey and I had a conversation, and Lacey has had a conversation with people at Mammoth, so. So I think they kind of know.
And being right downtown, I mean, they're very exposed right there, so I mean, as far as minors helping themselves, I don't think it's
Well, I'm
gonna
just saying, I mean, if you had one do it, you could have, also have another one do it. You know, that's,
it's a monitoring situation.
yeah, I mean, it's something that we would monitor too as law enforcement. Also, they're required to, you know, if LCC came through and did a sting operation or something like that and they were found serving, then they could be in trouble for that too. And they I'm sure they totally understand all that. And I'm not saying that they don't. And all 6 of them have a great handle on what they're supposed to do, so we don't get hardly any complaints for that, so. I know once in a while I get a notice from LCC that one of our establishments got caught on a sting for selling to minors, like alcohol, cigarettes, or something like that, but it's very rare that happens, so.
The one issue that I have is they seem to be taking up an awful lot of sidewalk.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking.
With that crosswalk right there, they got the rope around in front of the chairs, but they seem to be taking up about
Touch Piles does it too, and they take up sidewalk space, you know.
Same with the sidewalk.
And Fudgies, I mean, there's been times that Fudgies have been so darn busy, just people standing outside, so I guess it's kind of.
Bachman's has their sales, and they bring wrecks outside.
I mean, that was kind of the whole reason we went through the whole process a few years ago on why you needed sidewalks, is to make it more passable for pedestrians.
But the difference is, with Budgies, they only have that bench out there right now, right?
Yeah.
So you can't see when you do the other,
But you
they'd have more
stand,
than the bench, they'd have a bunch more. And
but if you got 30 people standing out there with 10 kids running around.
yeah,
And the sidewalk's only half as wide on the east side versus the west side of 88.
Well, that opens a whole other zoning problem, but, I mean, obviously, you want people be downtown and, you know, use our downtown, but it kind of makes a fine line as far as how much space do you give them. And Touch Class and all those other restaurants and places, even the Village Market has their stuff outside too, which is fine and dandy, but at some point, yeah. And if you allowed them, I guess maybe that would be a conversation you guys would have with them as far as how much are you going to allow them to take up and.
Village Market moved all their stuff back to the side.
Sure, but I'm saying from time to time, most of our businesses have done that, and it's not a bad thing in and of itself, it's other than, you know, if you say, yeah, you can use the sidewalk and they block the sidewalk off, it
There
creates
is
other
a-
problems, but.
A legal requirement as to how much sidewalk there has to be.
You know, there's a lot of other
free
questions
accessible
and,
for a handicap.
Legally, you gotta have 36 inches of clear between any barriers. Now, keep in mind, there's a light pole there. That becomes a barrier, so I told them 38 inches. Because they come to me and said, well, Touch of Class has got tables. Yeah, you're right, but they give them 38 inches in between and that's for a wheelchair.
That's for ADA, yeah.
Yep,
And we do
that's
have-
where that comes in at.
and we do have a handicap parking right there and
Right.
and a crosswalk and some other things, but that's always something that you guys can discuss and negotiate too, as far as how much space you could take up or how you could do that too, so.
small town, we have them all sitting out on the streets.
Well, they don't have very many tables up there, I think it's good to have a business in town.
2 or 3 tables is all we got.
Yeah. I was just in Chicago at a sidewalk having a beverage, and it was very nice to be able to sit outside and watch people walk by. So,
Gives the town, I feel, some energy. There's something going on as you drive through.
yeah.
And if we've never had any problems there prior, I mean,
Is there any room on the side street, sidewalk? Because they have a door on the side street, don't
it's
they?
narrow.
I don't think they can monitor it from there.
They've got the flower bed there.
That's not a public door.
It's not a public, but there is a door there.
There is a door there.
Yeah,
The,
okay.
the problem they have to have is if they come out on the sidewalk, it has to be roped off and chained from their entering
From
exit
the
point.
entrance,
So
yes.
if you put it around the side, I don't know how people come out of their bar with alcohol. I mean, it would be troublesome for them to do
They
that.
can't see the side either. There's no-
Correct, well, I mean, yeah, would they have to hire somebody to actually sit
That
there?
sidewalk's narrower, so they wouldn't
Yes.
have to have room for it.
What if we tried a year basis, or as soon as they get approved, whatever year, and if we have problems with it, well, we can come back and shut it down. If we don't have problems, then
My question would be if LCC would give a temporary permit. 'Cause I think what they're asking for is a permit license. So when we go in and check
if we
it,
approve it for a year, they'd still have to go back to the, and get a license for every year, wouldn't they? Or no?
yes and no. So when we actually go to check their license, actually on the wall, it will say Sunday sales, outside sales, entertainment, whatever. There's different specific things that they can do or not. But that would be a question, and maybe, you know, have a conversation with them and say, okay, how much are you gonna take up? When are you gonna do this? What time? I mean, obviously, they're not gonna have outside sales during the winter time. And it may be something, I don't know if you could or could not give small blankets of, 3 months of this summer or something like that. I don't know if LCC would want to go back and revisit this on our hands, because they're busy, and if it means extra burden for Mammoth to say, oh, no, we're gonna pull another annual permit or whatever, sometimes there's a lot of costs associated with it too. So I would say, talk with Mammoth and say, is that a possibility, or is that something you do? Are you willing to do that? I mean, it's like when I took a motorcycle license test, I had to take a couple of tests before that. I didn't realize they charged me every time I took that little test. I'm like, oh, I should have just went down and took the original written test. And it might mean further applications or additional costs for them too to do that, so.
But they have to apply for a license every year.
No,
Like at the-
no,
like
no, no,
at-
they apply for a license and then they could renew their license every
Okay,
year, so.
okay, because like at the VFW hall, we're trying to get a club license.
Correct. And once you have that,
Right, okay.
unless you do something to violate it or change the conditions of it or something like that, your license should stay valid from year to year to year.
And then
You just pay the renewal fee every year and go from there, so.
I guess, as long as he meets any requirements that we're gonna ask for, if he violates that, then we can revoke the permission.
Well, just like any other business too.
Yeah.
And I don't anticipate them having any
I
problems.
don't
I mean,
think so.
I think what they're asking for you to do is just, for the permission part, I think whatever LCC sticks with them as far as the rules and regulations, most of them are pretty strict because it's a tough penalty. I mean, it's thousands of dollars every time they get whacked. Whack's probably not a good word, but, so they understand the seriousness of it and what they need to do and what they don't need to do, so.
Because like Rob brought up, it shows good activity in the village. That people are coming here and try to promote more people.
It's not the kind I look for, I look for my family. Just isn't.
Still not bad as Bel Air, 8 bars and 2
Yes,
blocks.
exactly.
No, we're
Exactly.
behind. We're way behind.
Actually, Bel Air has, I think, 9 liquor licenses.
This is 9 now.
Yeah.
Well, if I read the council correctly, I think the majority of us are willing to give it a shot for a length of time anyway. And I understand the concerns. By the same token, I agree with Matt. Assessment is that we don't want to discourage business around here. We're trying to promote it as best we can. And they do have a license to serve alcohol, and I think we ought to cooperate with that as much as possible if it means keeping them here. They could shut the doors real quick and we'd end up with another empty building, and I'm sure they don't do that much of business here, but they started here, and I think they're remaining loyal to our community because they started here, so and certainly that's their decision whether they stay or go, but I think that we could at least try to begin with. And, hopefully we won't have any problems, but if we do, then we can revoke their license. So I'm sure that with the control commission would accept our phone call to say we got somebody in violation, would you please help us, if it ever came to that. I don't think it will ever come to that. So, Mr. Munger has served on our DDA, he has done some other community things along the way, and I think we ought to support them as best we can. So I'm willing to make a motion to approve supporting the outside liquor sales.
I'll support.
And I will write a letter if this is voted upon. Any further discussion?
We're gonna put some stipulations on it, or
Well, I'm pretty sure that 4 is gonna be their maximum seats outside, the way they've got them set up. They would have to adhere to our 38-inch right of way.
I would just say that you make sure that they comply with all rules and regulations for either traffic and or LCC rules and regulations. Which they're gonna have to anyways, I mean,
Right.
that's a given, so.
I don't know what those are, so they might.
Sure, and LCC will tell them, you know, specifically what they can and can't do, so.
But I will talk with them, let them know of our wishes and the concerns that we have, so. But I think they've been good business people up to this point. We ought to at least give them the benefit of the doubt at this stage, so. We have a motion and a support. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The motion is carried. Action item C, 2020 camping season suggestions.
Kathy, myself, and Rachel all batted around rate increases for the next year and the following year. Rationale, we just put new Wi-Fi in for $3,000. All the lighting improvements we've done. We've got more sites going in. So that was one of the rationales. And then I started looking more closely at the rates of area campgrounds. Barnes Park, which is what we use as a comparable. No Wi-Fi, regular with electricity is $31, so keep that in the back of your head. And you have to pay for a shower, 50 cents for 5 minutes. Well, it all adds up. Rustic site is 27. Wooden Shoe is $30. They do have Wi-Fi, electric, and water. Craven, let's see, they haven't raised their rate since 2015. No Wi-Fi. They do have water, sewer, and electric, and that's $25. I've never camped there, but I've heard people say that's really not comparable because it's really all not that nice. So that's more of an opinion than a fact. 2020 for next year, we sat down, we proposed a $3 increase. So the sites that are $27 would go to $30. The sites that are $22 would currently go to $25. All the people that are already in the system for next year, 2020, would get the older rates. Anybody that starts to book for next year, after this is approved, if we do approve it, we'll get the new rates. And then in 2021, it will go, the $30 sites will then go to $32. $25 rates will go to $27. And again, just because of all the improvements we've been doing down there. And then the discount, it's currently $7 if you do pre-Memorial Day, if you camp pre-Memorial Day and camp post-Labor Day. So we're going to back that off to $5. And again, so that way we can continue to see improvements. We've got a water issue behind the interior sites that we're going to have to dig all that up, figure out if it's a water line, runoff from a hill, replace all that, and that's got to be commercially done because that hillside is constantly wet. We're probably, Sam, we're going to have to bring in Buffman's for that, right?
Possibly.
Okay. So we've got that going on and a few other things. Kathy, am I missing anything?
I don't think so. I think the big issue is that back lot, because we're gonna have to extend the gravel line also. Like I said, you can fix the water main, but when you've got people with these rigs now coming in and they're just ripping it all up, we've gotta get some good gravel back in there and extend it, say maybe about 8 foot. To make it, again, these kids are playing on the side hills, which is great, but when it's all ripped up and the water's all in there, it's like mosquitoes and everything, it's gonna breed there. And like I said, the Wi-Fi, we still may have to put one more module up on the hill, we don't know yet. We're putting new sites in, so again, there's some, we want the people on the top to be able to have as good a Wi-Fi reception as they do down below. And that may be another situation where we'll have to put one more piece of equipment up top to reach everybody on top. And so just, again, trying to do some improvements, we're gonna have to reseed some things and some black dirt up there and reseed some of those sites up top now. And, but as you can tell, we're up 15%, this July, we were up 10% last month. Our goal is to get this thing full and to make people happy and make it a place where they're gonna continue to come back and keep it full. And we're still competitive with those rates. And plus we give the people that are seasonal discounts also if they stay longer than those 30 days. So that,
One other thing we've got, Rob, is our electric.
yes.
It's
Yeah.
gone up tremendously in the last year because electrical costs have really went up.
And it seems that people are bringing the bigger rigs and they're all using the 30 amp services now and blowing breakers too. So,
Our breakers or their breakers?
Ours.
ours.
You gotta remember, our park was wired 50 years ago. At that time, there was a pop-up camper with one outlet in it. That's reality. Now there's a 45-foot, $500,000 motor.
50
Yep.
50
For air conditioners and convection ovens,
yeah.
So should we be rewatering the park?
It's gonna be 100% rewiring, Larry, right from the word go. And that means the power company bringing new power into us, and we picking up from there and going underground.
Where's the power come from, Sam?
There's two different powers, Consumers Power, of course, two different leads coming in. Top of Camping Park has its own. Bottom of the camping park goes all the way over and feeds the day park pavilion. And then it's sub-fed from here to there to there to there.
Where's the meter base though?
At Kathy's current
Site 12.
site 12 now.
So everything's pulled off the site.
And then everything's sub-fed all the way around. Bottom of the camping park all the way over to Thurston Park Pavilion.
It's
But on
gonna
top
come
of-
soon where we're gonna have to put an electric in.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, because we've blown a couple up top, just because, again, even though you tell someone that there's 30 amp service, when you've got 100-degree weather, and you've got people that are, they're there the whole time, they're gonna run that air conditioning, and they're gonna run, things in those rigs, and if they're there all summer, those are just pulls that are probably have to change, So we're just trying to justify the fact that it's not a rate increase just to have a rate increase. It's to put it back into making that campground even better, and be able to handle the people's needs, on an ongoing basis.
Because with the meter base at site 12, the power's already there from the power company. We just need to upgrade from the meter, from the meter.
Sub-fed from the bathhouse to there.
So the power
The
company.
original power comes in at the bathhouse, sub-fed out of the bathhouse to Camp 12, Site 12, sub-fed all the way back up into Thurston Park.
Can we pull another meter base up on top, especially since
We already got, that's got its own up top.
oh, that's where I got it.
That's totally separate up top. That's,
And when was that one?
there's
put
2
in?
meter, whenever the mobile home park got
Yeah,
pulled up. 1972, Larry? That's all right? Somewhere in that
So
ballpark.
that one's old too.
Yeah, they're all old, that's all. We were wired for a pop-up camper, guys, that's all. It's,
And we do have the lines that go right on top of the campers up on the cliff. You'll see those lines are right directly above them, so there's a bit of concern about a few campers saying, hey, it's really gonna be a bad storm tonight, what are we gonna do? I said, well, you just stay inside, don't get out of the line.
Rubber tires.
Huh?
Rubber tires.
Lunch, just stay inside, don't jump out.
down the road, I foresee the park having to get rewired from the word go.
I think we ought to get some bids to know what kind of money we're talking.
Hey, that's very simple. I can get with Robbie, he can give us an estimated number. I'm sure he can do that very easy.
And you have some good recommendations on how to rerun the service to make it more efficient.
I think we ought to pursue that if that's the case.
It's very simple, he can give us rough numbers, and it doesn't cost anything.
So you're looking for approval on rate increases for 2020 and 2021?
2021, to boil it down into a nutshell, $3 for 2020, and then $2 for 2021. And roll back the $7 pre-Memorial Day, post-Labor Day discount to $5. And that's what we'd like to see right now. So that way we can start accruing some money to start doing those improvements.
Now, Rob, does that also address the new sites that you're putting in and then paving or putting cement into the,
Oh, yeah, the whole,
okay.
These recommendations here.
the paving and the 3 new sites. Yep.
Just the one site paved and you're just putting in the one, okay, and the 3 new sites.
Yep.
Would you like to put that into a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve a rate increase for 2020 of $3, a rate increase for 2021 of $2, and roll back the $7 current pre-Memorial, post-Labor Day of $7 to $5, in an effort to add improvements to the campground.
And also the new numbering system for the campsite?
Oh, and the new numbering system, yeah. Everyone has a copy of that. Yeah, sorry.
I have one question. We now have a site 13. Should we have a site 13?
I was born on Friday the 13th.
There you
so
go.
yes.
Turned out
Good answer.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor. Would we give us support? Yes, Lyle. And any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Old business, crosswalk signs. I know several communities have added them to their crosswalk areas. I noticed on Sam's sheet that he's talking with MDOT about getting our crosswalks painted by MDOT rather than us doing it. I noticed the truck in Bel Air came out of Yale that did theirs. So,
That's why I'm after MDOT.
yeah. I'm glad you saw them, because I had the same thought, so. I don't think that it's too late for this year to do anything, but I think we got bids for them, $200 a piece, something like that, $250.
I supplied somebody with, the good ones run about $420 a piece. And everybody I talked to from, on my end of signs, told me you get what you pay for when it comes to a crosswalk sign, that you're leaving in the road. In other words, the more you spend, the better your sign's gonna be. And the ones down to Bel Air, if you like them, Charlevoix has them out now, and they're right around $420 a piece.
And how many do we need?
Need at least 3 and probably 4.
Well, where are you gonna put them?
I would imagine you want them down at
Because unfortunately,
maybe 5.
the unfortunate part is, our crosswalks are so close to our intersections, you
We
can't put them there. Because the trucks are gonna hit them. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to put them in like between the
I see
grocery
Charlotte
store
moved theirs
and
too.
Tia's. Now, you're not gonna get one, I don't think you'll get one anywhere by Bill's that would represent a crosswalk. You'd have to put them on the yellow line.
Fudgies before you could put it in there.
Fudgies to Bachman's, that's a good.
They'll ring you over, yeah.
You and I walked around in the middle of the street, and I thought we said we weren't gonna do the pedestrian walkway, yield for pedestrian, just say, put the ones that say 25-mile-an-hour ones.
Well, we could still put the reminder that crosswalk and stuff.
Yeah, so they don't necessarily have to be at the intersection where the large rigs are just gonna plow them over, but you do it in the middle. And I thought you and I said, like, towards the, on the other sides of the M88 and Old State, just to slow people down as they come into town to de-accelerate.
Where the where the trucks come around the corner.
Yeah, we couldn't have it
Where the-
there.
Where the
That'd be
trailers,
useless. That'd be,
you just can't have them there.
they left today.
Even a single trailer or 53 footer, they can't make that without going clear across.
You know, right there, you know, at Joey's, you know, where the bar is, right in the middle of the road there, that one crosswalk, that would be really, really helpful because they are not slowing down. If it was like the one in Bel Air right in the middle, you know, they're slowing down. When you see that, you know, people do slow down. So that, even if you had one just there and the one by the bridge in the middle, even just two would maybe help, but nobody's slowing down, and even if you're in the middle of the crosswalk, I have to look at somebody a lot of times because they're still coming at you.
You know, our blocks aren't long enough in between to put one. I hate to say that.
I mean, they come.
Because all the lumber's got a
They fly
truck
by
on
our
it.
house 40, 50 miles.
Yeah, we
Well,
talked about
ours
putting
got
one in
some
front of your
coming.
house at 25 mile an hour, and then one up by, we couldn't put it in front of Touch of Class because the rigs pull in at the grocery store. So we said, let's move it further down from there. Maybe we get, like Bill said, 3 or 4, start with 2 on 88. We definitely need one on either side of the bridge on Old State Road because kids are going back and forth with their fishing poles all day, all summer.
I need one by the bridge, and then at least 2 downtown, maybe 9.
I would like to see 4 extended out and then see how it goes.
I was just gonna make a
Oh, sorry.
suggestion with the new pavilion going in that area too, perhaps.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Where the new pavilion's going in downtown.
Yeah, perfect.
If you-
Those are
It's
mobile,
gonna
these
be
are
busy
completely
down
mobile.
there
They're
eventually.
mobile, we can move them around.
I just like
Well,
to,
we'll start out with 4, and then if we need more, we can
yeah,
buy another 1 or 2, but I think we should start with at least 4.
I think when they have 5, the chief says he's got,
One's gonna get ran over, so you're gonna need a replacement.
gonna have to replace one.
like it's stolen.
If
The
we don't
expensive
place-
ones?
If we don't place them right, we're gonna replace them all.
The expensive ones, you can buy just certain parts for replacements. The inexpensive ones, you can't.
Bel Air offered to let us use their cheap ones they bought the first time around. I said no thanks.
Yeah.
And that's what they did, they spent a bunch of money, they're sitting in their pole barn now, so they turned around and bought the expensive ones.
Yeah, I think
Why not, for the rest of the summer?
you really gotta remember that, though. You do get what you pay for.
Sure.
It's,
You're sitting outside.
yeah.
Well, just as a point of clarification too, in order to put those out, we have to have NDOT's approval. Every year, Rachel, Sam started with it, he gave it to me, I gave it to Rachel, but every year, Rachel does our annual permit, and that would be the time that we actually ask NDOT permission to put those on the state highway. Down by the bridge, we don't need their permission, but on the state highway, we do. So when we fill out the annual permit at the beginning of the year for the car show, the 4th of July, that'd be a perfect time to plug that in. Unfortunately, we can't just go out and arbitrarily.
So we're looking at spring.
We're looking in spring to put them on.
Yeah,
you can't do it now.
I think
Can't put them out in the winter.
we ought
Yeah.
to either
Snow removal.
approve it now for next year's budget, or wait until next year's budget and approve it at that point in time. But I don't think we ought to spend the money this year, personally.
Yeah, probably.
At the beginning of the year, we can ask for permission, that's not a problem.
Right, yeah.
Obviously.
So we'll have to appropriate the funding in February for the March budget,
Right.
pass the budget, purchase them, and have them by May.
We can take it out of the street budget, but as long
Yeah.
as we can't put them out, it's too late this year, no sense in spending.
We don't have a line item for it anyways.
Right. So, we can take it out of street money, so, I would think.
Are they in the same category as street signs?
Yes, traffic service supplies
And
is
stop
what we put
signs,
it under.
everything like that?
Did we ever check into the borrowing or getting the radar machine to set on 88?
And we can get that from time to time. The sheriff's department has one of them, so they have to bounce around. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say, well, why don't we just go buy one? Well, they're $10,000, so, if you put it in perspective, our part-time officer, it's $13,000 probably to pay her for the whole year, so you spend $10,000 for a machine that you can't.
That would help finish out this season, because we only got, what, 6 weeks maybe left of the season.
Hopefully things calm down. I mean, honestly, the sheet I gave you earlier, if things calm down, I mean, you're gonna see us out there a little bit more too to help with that problem too. But it's hard to be out there running radar when we're in here doing.
Well, at least it might, when it starts flashing, that makes people think about their speed a little bit.
or encourages them to go faster.
That's what I do.
That one is already effective.